Hello, and welcome to Atomic Radio Hour, and as you can tell by the music that preceded, this isn't a regular episode, this is a movie review. This is what Olive and myself like to call a burner, but before I get into an explanation, I'm your host, Vince.
And I am your, all alone in the wasteland with no one else host, Olive.
Yeah, just gonna fucking forget I exist? That's cool. That's fine. That's alright. That's cool. What's that? Oh, okay. So this is what we like to call a burner episode. It's an episode that we just kind of have to record and put somewhere until we're ready to release it. Say something comes up, we have to take care of something.
It's going to age like fine wine.
Yeah, we try to make it... We're not going to talk about something that's going on currently, just because of... This could come out in a month from now or a year from now.
Which makes it more fun. It's like you never know where in the time traveling scheme we are.
See, I kind of wanted to like shave my face for this because I could shave my face and then it'd be like week after week of beard, no beard, and then beard again.
Ooh, I love that.
But today we're going to be talking about a movie. A movie that I've wanted to see for a very, very long time. A movie that, when I bought a collection of Blu-rays, was one of the first movies I added to the cart because I knew I had to see it. A movie that has inspired the Fallout series and Post-Apocalyptia to, a level that it has never been before. The back of the Blu-ray, which I have the Blu-ray right here, the back of the Blu-ray says the Doomsday Fable that launched the post-apocalyptic genre as we know it. And that's from Owen Gilberman of Entertainment Weekly. It doesn't say a year. We're reviewing A Boy and His Dog. I have the Blu-ray, like I said.
You do. I watched it for free on the internet.
If you play, I don't know if Xbox does this, but if you play PlayStation games, they have a separate inside cover, and this one has the original, which I'm holding up to the camera, which it should be on screen somewhere, has the original artwork on the inside, but then, like a PlayStation game, so you can fucking display it, it has the French artwork, and it says Apocalypse 2024. Before we get into it, I'm just going to read the back of the DVD. Are you cool with that?
Do it, yeah.
World War IV lasted 5 days. The Earth ravaged, survivors struggle to find food, shelter, and companionship in the post-atomic wasteland. The celebrated sci-fi tale follows a young man, Vic, played by Don Johnson, and his sardonic and telepathic dog, Blood. As they wander in search of food and women, they find a suspiciously eager Quilla June, played by Suzanne Benton, who lures Vic into the surreal city deep beneath the Earth's surface. What's waiting for him there is certainly not what he wanted. Directed by L.Q. Jones and based on the award-winning novella by acclaimed author Harlan Ellison. A Boy and His Dog is a dark, often wickedly funny trip through a post-apocalyptic world where friendship between Boy and his dog is the only currency that matters. And the tagline of the movie is a rated R, rather kinky tale of survival, which I fucking... Did you like this movie?
I did like this movie. I thought it was a really interesting take on Apocalypse, a very honest take on Apocalypse.
Why do you say that?
Because in a real apocalypse, I would assume that the only things that really matter are going to be food, water, weapons, and sex. And those are all very highlighted in this movie with what the main characters are going after.
I've been saying it I remember I had a conversation with your dad once about what happens if the nukes go off.
That was probably an interesting one.
And I remember saying to him, Oh no. I know what currency will be. It'll be water, food, cigarettes, and ammo and sex. Those will be the 5 things. I really fucking love this movie. Instantly.
I thought it was a delightful movie.
Instantly, I was like, this makes sense to me. Everything about this, like, and it, I don't know if you do this, but I do this with movies. I sit there and I go, well, what else is going on in this world? Like,
yeah,
what
I try
else?
to think about the greater scope of what's happening. Like, give me some world building so I can think about it on my own.
And it answers the questions that you have, but like then slowly like asks more questions and more things open up. And I think it's one of those movies that warrants multiple watches for multiple reasons. Before we go any further, I just want to say real quick, we will be spoiling the movie. So there will be plot spoilers and discussion that will happen throughout the rest of the video. So free game at this point. If you're still listening, we're going to spoil the shit out of the movie.
And if you've heard of the movie and wanted to watch it like forever now, I would recommend pausing us and going and watching it, because it's a really, really good movie. You can watch it on, I mean, fuck Jeff Bezos, but you can watch it on Amazon with ads so that you don't have to pay for it. I know that,
really?
Yeah. Sometimes I know that cost can be
an
issue for people. At the time of recording, you can watch it for free on Amazon.
It was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it still is. I doubt it is. But when I Googled the movie itself, it did come up saying that it was on Netflix. So it could be on like a rotating basis. If a VPN company would want to sponsor us, I would tell you that if you can use a VPN to get Netflix from all other countries, so you'll never not have more stuff. The intro to this movie doesn't fuck around. When it starts up, I love how you hit play and just nukes start happening. I fucking love that. And apparently...
Like, let's not beat around the bush. Everything's fucked.
Everything is destroyed. Everything is gone. And from what I understand, I was listening to some of the commentary. And did you ever watch commentary when you were a kid?
What do you mean by commentary?
Like, there was the DVD with the movie on it, and then there was, like, the director's commentary.
Only for some movies, like Shrek 2.
Really? On DVD?
Yes.
I was that with The Simpsons. And I didn't realize I was doing it. I just wanted to watch The Simpsons again. I was like, oh, what's this director's commentary? And I watched it. And then I realized that other people weren't doing that. And then I just kept going, well, I like this. I like learning things about the show or the movie, so I continue to do it. So I didn't watch all of the commentary because I watched it 3 times, and every time I loved it. And I just wanted to watch it one more time to have it fresh in my memory. But during the opening, because I watched like the first 5 minutes of the commentary, the director, L.Q. Jones, said that he put the nukes and that it takes place in 2024 and all these other things in 82. The movie was re-released in 1982. It came out in 1975. Actually, as I'm saying this, let me kind of go to IMDb and just kind of read things quickly for you. It's directed by L.Q. Jones. The writing credits are for L.Q. Jones and Harlan Ellison. There's a piece on the Blu-ray. It's called In Conversation with the director and the writer, and they paid L.Q. Jones paid Ellison $100 to like $200 for the rights to make the movie. Like, he paid him nothing. And
that's nothing.
Yeah, and this was Ellison's favorite story that he had ever written up until this point. And he says in the thing that he's written like a total of like 1,700 different scripts. He had written for TV shows, movies, books on books on books. And he said the only time he ever had some sort of writer's block was when he said, I need you to write the film adaptation of the movie. And he just didn't want to not do it justice, and he froze after 13 pages.
Dang.
So roughly, if L.Q. Jones used those 13 pages, only about the first 10 to 13 minutes of that movie are Ellison's script, and the rest Jones had to write, which I think is super interesting. Don Johnson plays Vic. Suzanne Benton plays Quilla June Holmes. Jason Rhodes plays Lou Caradoc, the guy who like runs the underground, and he fucking kills it. He does an amazing performance.
He does so good. The people that run the underground are just haunting and terrible, and they are super Fallout.
So yeah, Tim McIntyre does Blood. Alvy Moore does Dr. Moore. Harleen Winston is Mez Smith, and then there's a couple other people that I'm not going to get too into. Actually, Jones shows up as an actor in one of the porno films. And the dog's name is Tiger.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wait, the dog actor is named Tiger?
Yes.
Oh.
It was shot in Bristow, California. And the dog was almost nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He was like on the list for the Oscars for 75. This movie came out in 75. He was on the list of actors that were going to be nominated. He almost won a dog almost won an Oscar. Almost was nominated to win an Oscar for fucking this movie.
And that's just crazy to think about, seeing as there's still a problem with race in the Oscars and the media industry. Like, they were going to give an Oscar to a dog before they would recognize people of color, and that's just ridiculous.
Well, hold on. What year did the first black person get an Oscar?
I don't know, but regardless, there's still a really big race disparity there.
1939.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was Hattie McDaniel.
I don't know who that is.
I've heard of her.
Well, I didn't think you were going to go there with that. So in 82...
I just think it's funny.
Oh, no, yeah.
Or, like, it's just crazy.
How do you feel about the telepathy and the ping noise for the sniffing?
I like it. I think the telepathy is cool. I wanted to know more about why that happens.
I love how they don't explain it.
See, I wish that they explained it. I want to know.
Well, they do and they don't.
Yeah, like, why can't any of the girls hear it?
Can I give a little bit of a synopsis before we really dive in?
Yeah. Go.
So the movie opens up with Vic and Blood, and instantly it becomes apparent that the number one commodity in this world is women, and that dogs are trained to sniff out women. And it shows that, like, I don't know what the raiders are called in this movie. I think they're called solos. And the solos...
Or, like, the solos are, like, the explorers that stay on the above.
Yeah. And these other solos that aren't Vic, they go into this... Everything is, like, caved inward. It's nothing but a flat desert, but there's, like, buildings underground that have shifted. It's such an honest... Like you said before, an honest take at a look at what an apocalyptic scenario could be.
I know.
Something that would be
I love the fact that they just explore the wasteland and dig little holes for each other to, like, live in, and then they break into the roofs of houses and, like, it infests the underground that was, like, buried under nuclear hellfire. Like, I think that's so cool.
So they find this one woman, and she's all cut up and bleeding out and or dead. You could see her breathing in the movie, but I assume she's supposed to be dead. And Vic gets out of the hole, and he's like, "Man, they didn't have to cut her. She could have been used 2 or 3 more times." And I was like,
once he said that, I kind of understood the movie more.
Really?
Where I was gonna be like, oh, because I always go into into movies thinking, like, the main character is meant to be, like, a hero and meant to be, like, someone to show, like, that they are a moral compass, but the main character is kind of just as bad as everyone else, like, just the rest of the solos, the rest of the raiders.
Yeah. It's a very even playing field.
Yeah, like, he's not just, like, this morally superior person that, like, you would almost expect.
Yeah. And then they're searching for food, and Blood says to Vic, and he calls him Albert, because it pisses him off. But hey, whoa, that's fucking. You want to talk about the influence on the Fallout series?
Sure.
That's the character's name in Fallout 1. One of the pre-made you can make, his name is Albert, and the name of the character in, like, a non-canon way for Fallout 3, because of all the E3 footage, was Albert. And there's no doubt in my mind that they chose that. Bethesda chose that because of the original games, and
100%.
And it was originally chosen when it was with Interplay because of this fucking movie. There's so many things about. So then it cuts to a scene of Vic and Blood watching over this, like, cart thing that's being, like, drugged by people, like a chariot, and they start digging into what I can only assume is, like, a shop. This movie was made for fucking no money. They made this movie.
Yeah, you can tell that the budget is small, but the character is big.
Yeah, like Ellison said when Jones would call him and say, like, look, I want to do your book justice. I want to make sure this is right. I want to make sure we're doing everything up to the letter. He would say, no, just do it and just keep me out of it. Keep me out of it. And then eventually, like, the day before they were going to send it to be, like, finalized, Ellison goes, I want to see the movie. And he's like, good, come here, see it. And he goes, and he was so afraid that he was going to hate it. And when the movie was over and the credits rolled, he got up and he goes, that's my fucking book. He goes, that's it.
Wow.
He goes, but we have to change some things. And he's like, well, what do you want to change? And he's like, women are going to start to rise up soon. And apparently Vic calls Quilla June like a cow and a slut and a sow and like all these words. And he's like, we have to get rid of a majority of that. That and the ending line to the movie, Ellison fucking hated. But we'll get to that when we talk about the ending.
Wait, I don't remember the ending line.
Well, I don't want to say it now. I want to...
Okay.
Because it'll spoil the rest of the movie, yeah. I mean, we're spoiling... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, he went to... He was like... So he said... we need... He goes, put it back, and let's edit it again. We need to edit it one more time. Ellison. He goes, we need to edit it one more time. He's like, well... It's $1,500 to re-edit the movie. I don't have $1,500. And Ellison goes, I will get you the money because those lines cannot be in the movie. He said, you put too much misogyny in the movie. And he's like,
you know
all right.
What? And props for recognizing that early, dude.
And he was like, he's like, I'll find a way. So he goes, give me all of the outtake film. And he goes, okay. And Ellison went to the Sci-Fi Con of like 71, 72, 34, because it took 5 years to shoot the movie. Like it started in 69, 70 something, and then it didn't come out till 75. He took all of these little clippings of film, like negatives, I guess, and he showed the movie at the convention in the state it was in then, and he goes, I need to finish the movie. We're still making it, and you can help us do that. This is like the first fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah.
He pulled out a lunch bag, like a brown paper bag of snippets, and he goes, you can buy these for anywhere from, I think he said like $1 to $5 each. And it took like 3 hours to show the movie because they could show 20 minutes of the movie. The projector would break down. They'd have to fix it. He'd go on stage and tell a story, show the next 20 minutes. It's a 90-minute film. Yeah. And he's like, buy these, and I promise you sometime in the future they will be worth money. They will be something that you'll be proud to own. It became a fucking huge movie, a massive movie, and there's just negatives floating around from this movie.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah. They got the movie fixed up and it became this classic. But what I'm getting at is that dude with who has all the people on like that rickshaw thing, that like carriage.
Oh yeah, he's horrible. He's like a raider boss.
Yeah, his name's Fellini.
Oh really?
I only found that out because I was on IMDb before I just checked it. And he steals from him, and then they show these feet, and these people start talking. And I didn't like put two and two together until my second time watching it, that those are the people from the Down Under, which I have to say is a fucking beautiful way to talk about the vaults or whatever they are. The vaults right there. Like, this is where the idea of vaults most likely came from.
Yeah, obviously. Like they have an entire like underground society.
Yeah.
That's like an old American town.
Yeah. And
it kind of reminds me of Tranquility Lane almost.
Yes. It kind of reminded me of a mixture between Dishonored, BioShock 3, and We Happy Few. And I never played We Happy Few, so maybe I'm thinking of a different game. But I'll explain why when we start talking about that. But it shows Vic steals the food from Fellini and his men, and he runs off, and him and Blood get to eat, and they're hanging out, and he's like, hey, we're loaded. Why don't we go to the turf? And let me tell you, if there's any part of this movie I want to visit, it's the turf. Like, let me see what I have in my notes. The turf, I have it written down that the turf is like a scrappy, shady sands or a junk town. It's very much, you can see movies, get haircuts, take a bath, and there's popcorn. And there's a scene in the beginning of it where you have to check your weapons in. And that reminded me of Junktown, because when you go to Junktown with Fallout 1, it's like, put your weapon away or we'll kill you. And if you enter the town without putting your weapon away, I'm like 98% sure they kill you. And he throws him a can of sardines, and he goes, "What about for the dog?" And he throws him a can, he goes, "It's Peaches." And he goes, "Well, how the hell am I supposed to know?" And he goes, "You can read,
You can read,
you?
don't you? Yeah.
And he goes, "Peaches for the dog," and it's a can of beets. Like, so
yeah.
what I also
And the
love...
dog's like, he can spare a couple pounds.
yeah. I wasn't exactly sure on the lore of this movie, so I went on Wikipedia before, and I looked it up, and it says, in the novella and the film, they have the same alternative timeline setting, diverging with the failed assassination of President John F. Kennedy. There's a point where he's naming off all the presidents, and he gets to Kennedy, and he says Kennedy, and then it kind of just trails off. Instead of concentrating on the space race, technology advances in robotics. In robotics, animal intelligence and telepathy take place. A more heated Cold War takes place, culminating in the conventional World War III. Truce is signed, lasting another 25 years through the mounting tensions leading up to World War IV in 2007. This time involving...
Ooh, that's a cursed year.
Involving massive nuclear warfare and only lasting 5 days. Civilization is almost entirely obliterated, leaving the surface of the Earth reduced to a desolate and irradiated wasteland. Years later, in 2024, foragers who remain above ground must fight for the remaining resources. Most survivors of the former United States are male, as women were usually in the bombed cities, while many men were out fighting the war. In the novella, nuclear fallout has created horrific mutations, such as feared Burnip screamers, known for their noise and deadliness. In the film, they only appear in one scene, though they are only heard.
Yeah, I like that they left that ambiguous.
Yes. So I just wanted to point that out because I had a hard time kind of following it because Blood says it, but I kind of wanted to make sure I had the exact dates right. So they show you the turf, and they're watching porn. They're very casually watching porn. And it kind of brought me to this realization that I guess, like, back in the 70s, like, you just watched porn.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't use it. You just, like, watched it. You were just like, there's a porno on at 10, Janice. Would you like to watch? Like,
It's just... Right now, we have these magical devices that connect us to the internet, where there's infinite amounts of anything you want.
Yeah. I actually heard
But back in the day, you had to, like... get a magazine or something.
They had porno theaters.
Yeah.
Do you know about Deep Throat?
No, I don't really.
The only way the woman could climax was her G-spot was in her throat. It's like the porno movie to start porno movies.
Really?
Yeah, like it was so big that they were showing it like in Manhattan, which I mean, I know Manhattan, like Times Square was a different place in the 70s, but
yeah. Before it got like cleaned up.
Yeah. They showed it there, and it was like celebrities went to see it. I think there's even an interview with Groucho Marx I was watching once where he said that he went to go. It was like an event. It was like Star Wars. Like you went to go see it. Like, I don't know if it holds up. I've never seen it. But when they're in the hub, Blood's like, oh, there's a woman here. And Vic loses his mind. He goes on this chase, and eventually he convinces Blood to show him, and they go to this school, this gymnasium. And this gymnasium, to me, felt so much like Fallout 3.
Oh my goodness. Like
right?
Springvale.
Right? Like it fucking felt real. Like I even have in my notes. I'm not even like using my notes over here. I even have here. Where the fuck is it? Oh, there's something I wanted to talk about in my notes that I didn't bring up. There's a prostitution pit in the turf that I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And it's for a quick second. There's like a line of dudes and this woman, and he like hands her some boots, and she's like, uh-huh, and like does that like head motion, come with me, and he's like, okay, and you can see him like undoing his belt, and they're just gonna watch. Like,
Yeah. Like, it's such a different world.
Yeah. But when they first get to the school, Vic even says, oh, this is where the Screamers hang out. And he's like, I don't know if we should go in there. And Blood's like, the only person in the gym right now is Quilla June. And that's it. And if you want it, go get it. But when he goes in there, that whole set, he like watches her get dressed.
Yeah.
And then he like attacks her, and he's like, he puts a gun on her, and he's like, take that shit off, and if you scream, I'll shoot your leg off, and then you'll get it, and you won't have a leg. And like, that's what I really like about this movie, is that it's not holding back. There's going to be an immense amount of this in any apocalyptic situation.
Yeah. It's
And-
going to be like morally awful.
Yeah, and
Which
I'm
is
not
how
saying
it is.
And
Yeah.
like I hate when I'm like, oh, I get excited in the apocalypse movies for the rape scene, because I don't. I get
Yeah.
excited that they're showing it in a way that makes sense. Like
they're showing us like an honest account, what we could assume is an honest account.
yeah, like that scene in the Book of Eli when they corner Mila Kunis and the dude starts taking off his belt. I'm like, that would happen. Like, that's something that I could see happening. That would be a common occurrence in this world. Like, I like that they show that. I like that they show that Blood and Vic are incredibly hungry and everything is running off of food.
Yeah.
But eventually Blood is like, Vic, there are 23 dudes outside that want to come in here, and you can get out of this if you give the girl to the guys. And I have written down here exactly, Vic, quote, needs pussy so badly he wants to fight off 23 separate dudes instead of giving them up. But like, so he's about to fight these 23 dudes, but what I think is really, really interesting, and I really, really appreciated this, is that before the guys come in, Vic's got the gun on her, and he goes, what's your name? And she goes, what's your name? And he goes, Vic. And I'm like, oh, dude, you're an idiot. You could have said literally anything else. And he's like, what's your name? Because like, that's what I love about this. And Ellison said, he goes, when I wrote the book, Vic, he goes, was very much every stupid part of me, that he's too dumb to understand anything that's going on. And Blood was very much him in the sense that he's too smart for his own good. And like, he's like, my name's Vic, what's yours? And she's like, Quilla June Holmes. And he's like, that's a weird fucking name. And she's like, where I have it written down. She goes, my parents from Oklahoma said it was a common name before the war. And like right there, I was like, that is the most fucking Fallout dialogue ever.
Yep.
And then I was thinking, oh, where does this even take place? Because everything is just glass. Like, everything is just sand. Like,
Yeah.
is this... How far are we from Oklahoma? Are we in Arkansas? Are we in Texas? Are we in California? Are we in the Mojave? Where are we? Like, what's... like... And it
Yeah,
just...
like, I don't know.
So this whole fight breaks out, and this fucking fight is awesome. This fight between all these raiders, all these goon-ass men, and like fucking the dog jumps on a dude, Blood jumps on a dude and rips his fucking neck out, and then
He bit the neck.
he bit the fucking neck, and then
He gets into a dog fight with another dog.
yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. There's a point where there's like a lull in the fight, and Vic kind of hides, and he's like, and Blood's like, you want the good news or the bad news? And he's like, give me the bad. He goes, they found another entrance, and they came in that way, and we've lost the element of surprise. I do not remember what the good news was.
Yeah,
But
I don't either.
One of them is like, what about a screamer? Do you think if we had a screamer it could be a distraction? And he's like, I'll fucking try. And then Vic just starts making screamer noises. And it works. And they're like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
And
they all run the fuck away.
yeah, and he fucking starts taking shots at these dudes, and fucking Blood drags like an M4 to Quilla Jean. I don't know why I keep wanting to call her Quilla June. Quilla Jean, your name's Quilla June. He takes a fucking gun to her, and she's like hiding away in like this little cubby hole, and then
And just taking pot shots at the people.
yeah, she saves Vic's life like twice. But then the fucking dogfight, I was watching it going, this would never happen today. This
Yeah.
movie already would never be made. That
No
scene
way.
alone would never happen. Like, I'm not no fucking filmmaker or anything, but if I could remake any movie, it's this one. Like, this is a movie that I'd love to see redone, but do it from no CG whatsoever, and have it where it's show screamers, because I'll get into a little bit of that later. Show screamers, just because I think you could give Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, who did the Toxic Avenger. I don't think they're making Toxic Avenger movies anymore, but you can take some of the practical effects, or at least the knowledge from that, and apply it to what the screamers could look like, because Vic does give a description of what they look like in the movie. Like, I would love to see this movie kind of updated, but like not. And I think it'd be really interesting to put a movie like this in theaters and be like, in the year... Because one of the promotional things, on the Blu-ray, there's a bunch of radio spots. And I wish I could put them in here, but I just can't for copyright reasons. One of the radio spots is like, in the year of 2024, a future most of you will see. And I was listening to that going, that's a year away. That's 4 years away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a fucking... like a college amount of time.
It's a real year for us.
And it was fucking fiction to them in 75.
I know.
They do show a quick... Once all of the solos that were attacking Vic and Blood and Quilla June, when they're out, when they all leave or they're dead, an actual screamer shows up and Blood's like, okay, the real thing's here, and... They even try to scare it off by taking off her dress, which is green, and like tying a mop or something else to it, and then with a broomstick kind of shoving it.
Like waving it around, yeah.
Yeah, and then they show up and they hide in this boiler room. And then Quilla June just starts having sex with Vic, and Vic's not saying no.
Yeah,
and
she's just like, you saved me from 23 fuckers. I'm gonna bone down now.
Yeah, I was watching it going like, I hate when... The first time I went, I fucking hate when movies do this. I was like, oh, the man and the woman are alone. It's the fucking time. I can't stand that shit. And that's one thing that fucking... I Am Legend does really well, is they're together and they're not like... It's sexual time. It just doesn't happen. It's just...
Yeah, they like value their survival over like anything.
Yeah, but then it becomes more apparent later on. Blood does not like Quilla June, and...
Yeah. I love when he like snaps at her with like teeth exposed.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck you.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't think he likes me very much. And he's like, no, he likes you. He told me himself. And that's the scene when they're in the boiler room. He's like, I have to go to the bathroom, Vic. And he's like, all right, go. And they have sex like 4 times. And then he's like, Vic, get out here now. But before that, she's like, how can you talk to him? And he's like, I don't know. I just have this feeling. He said the two of us just kind of click. There's a point in the beginning of the movie where he says that he's a police dog.
Yeah.
So that makes me think, okay, it's 2024. The war happens in 2007, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 14... That's 15 years, 16 years?
From what?
From 2007. 2017 would be 10 years.
Yeah.
So like 16 years?
Ish, yeah. I can't do math.
There's no way that dog is 16 years old. Like, he says he's an older dog in the movie, but there's no way he's 16 years old. That dog, like, dogs don't live that long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, are you like, what does that mean you're a police dog? Were you a police dog for like a military, like not a military, but like a...
I think the dog's a robot, personally.
Really?
I think the dog's a synth. Yeah.
Why?
And that's the reason that he can talk to people. He's got a brain chip or something.
But he can only talk to Vic.
Yeah, well, he can talk to people that he chooses, I guess. I don't know. I thought, like, from the beginning
Vic
that
talks
the dog
back
was...
telepathically.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm struggling to understand the connection that they have to allow them to talk.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that bothered you the most.
Yeah, because I want to know what kind of technology it is, or what kind of, like, if it's a virus or something. I just want to know.
Because there's
I want to know.
Where she asks, she's like, well, how do you... He's like, I don't know. We just kind of get each other. And she's like, is it like love? And he's like, I guess. And then, like, that's it. Like, I like how it's kind of kept this weird, like, it just happens because movie. And I think that's why it's so... That's why I believed it. That's why I didn't question it, because it's because movie. And it's not just, like, because movie, because we need... That's it. I've talked about this before. I hate when a movie just goes because movie and then something happens. But when it establishes it early on, and that's because movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you can talk to the dog because it's a movie.
Exactly, because that's the setting of the movie. But if, like, halfway through the movie, all of a sudden, Blood starts talking to Quilla June, and it's like, well, I thought you couldn't talk to her. Like, did you just do this because it was convenient for the story? Like, the movie starts with, I can talk to this dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's just this instant,
Like,
here you go.
that's just the fact.
Yeah, like, that's why I didn't question it. Because it was like, oh, okay, it's a movie, it's fantasy, it's not real. When he's all like, she's not good, she's bad news, get rid of her. I love the fight that they have with each other, and that even Blood calls him a putz, and he's like, what's a putz? And he's like, it's something bad, isn't it? And he's just like, kind of walks away, and then she smacks him with a flashlight, and then it like cuts to, I guess he gets knocked out, it cuts to...
It's when they're in the boiler room.
Yeah, it cuts to him and Blood, and he's like, I told you she was a piece of shit. And then he finds this card. And when he finds this card, he's like, this must be a key to get to the Down Under. And he's like, smell it. And he's like, we can't go after her. He's like, we have to. And he's like, why? And it's never said why, and part of me thought, like, oh, it's because he genuinely thought when she said, I love you, that she meant it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of it is, like, a pride thing, I thought.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna let this woman get one over on me. So he, like, convinces her, himself that he's going after her. So him and Blood run to this vault, which, like, super convenient that they found it instantly, but whatever.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's open land. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? There's just, you would see it. And in that scene when they're fighting, they talk about what Vic saw a screamer, and it was, I have it written down, it was glowing like a fungus, oozing and with eyelashes. And there's a scene when she says that she was trying to get Vic down to the Down Under, where she's like, oh, well, we can have a place to ourselves and a house, and Blood can have his own room when he visits. And he's like, the fuck do you mean Blood can have his own room when he visits? He's like, no, we're living up here. But they decide, okay, we have to go down there. And, like, I love when he puts the key card in the door to open the vault up. Like, I don't know any other term to call it.
Yeah.
But I love that, like, just the way the door opens, and, like, he goes in this room, and there's a shot of the dog, of Blood, looking at the door, and it's a great shot. It's like a still shot of just that. Mm-hmm. And just to sit there and look at like, he's about to go into this new world, and the labyrinth of tubes and tunnels that he goes through to get down there. And when he finally gets there, you find out it's called Topeka. So, like, are we in Kansas? They refer to it as the state of Topeka.
Yeah.
So, like, where the fuck are we? Really?
Mm-hmm.
I love that it's always dark.
Yeah, I like that too. That, like, there's not enough artificial light to make it seem like there's daytime.
Unless you're inside. Like, there's lighting inside, and it would seem like it's real. But, like, they show the scenes where they're in the park, and the park is just black.
It's just black, yeah.
And there's a scene where Mez says that it's 11:40 something in the morning, and it's pitch black out.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it was so noisy when he got down there?
I don't know. I think that the Down Under, I just think the way that it is run was very whimsical, almost. Mm-hmm. Like, the committee that ran it kind of just did whatever they wanted, and stuck it behind, like, a justification of, well, we're the committee. So they could run a kangaroo court and just murder whoever made them uncomfortable, as long as it meant that they could keep power.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's why it was so wacky, is because that was just the kind of society that they built, and it was around basically the three of them.
Well,
As the committee.
there's a scene when they're showing the committee, and like the woman won. Hold on. To answer the question I asked before, why I think it was so noisy, and I think what was so smart is that Vic is going through a sensory overload of what the old world is kind of like, and he's experiencing it for the first time. So there's this marching band playing the Washington Post March, and there's a quartet going on, and there's like a family dinner,
And it's
like
just
a
meant to be
picnic.
overwhelming.
It's meant to be like, I remember watching going, what the fuck is, like, this is why I had to watch it a second time, because I'm going, what the fuck is happening?
I felt very similarly.
Like, and then like he's talking to the dog, and I love the scene because what they do with it later, he's talking to the dog and he goes, "Hey boy, can you hear me?" And like, or he says something to him, and then like it doesn't, and nothing happens, and he sees that the dog's on a leash, and he's like, "This shouldn't be, fuck that," and like undoes the leash, and they grab the dog, and it shows like the courtroom, and there's a woman who like won Miss Topeka's peaches, all canned peaches, be them preserved or fresh, will bear her image for the rest of the year in our Lord 103. So like it's 2024, but now all of a sudden it's year 103. Where did those fucking 80 something years come from?
I don't know. Maybe it was a project that was
Going on
like
already.
going on already. Like they had made this underground civilization in anticipation for the new war,
Yeah.
and then just started living in their crazy society early on.
That's what I was kind of thinking as well, because I thought of it maybe as like the Enclave in a sense. Which I'm not saying everything has to be a Fallout reference, but I'm saying like analogous to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a part where I can't think of how to say his name. The guy who kills it. The guy who's like the third best performance, the second best performance in the movie, with the cane. Lou something, who like runs the place.
Oh, I forget his name. Yeah.
He says, he's like, we have precedent from the elder council. The elder council members. So like, how long is this going on for? Again, how did you think about the face paint?
I thought it was so spooky.
How fucking
I loved
cool
it.
is the face paint? There is I was watching something with
It's just
Ellison.
another thing that made it so bizarre.
Yeah, and that's where I got kind of Dishonored and We Happy Few. If I remember We Happy Few, they wear like masks like that, and that whole kind of vibey thing of it reminds me a little bit of Columbia from BioShock 3, even though I've never played it. That like starting area that I've seen like trailers of and shit, that reminds me of that. But they ask Ellison, why the face paint? He's like, why do they look like clowns? Like they got little lips that kind of twirl up. And he goes, when I was writing it, I thought if it took place in the 1700s, they'd all have that stupid ruffled collar around their neck. Because it's just the style, it's the fashion, and fashion evolves with time. And at that point in time,
And because they were
that's the thing.
isolated, their fashion diverted from conventional fashion.
Yeah. And even though it's very 70s with the way they're dressed, like that's a little, you know what I mean? Like a little fucking like twist. And it's like, it keeps you interested, and it puts it in like this weird, uncanny, off-putting thing. And it's really fucking interesting to watch. So when they're down there, the court session that we're talking about, they say it's June 23, 103 in the year of our Lord in the Down Under, which I was kind of getting at before. And then they bring up a older couple, and they say they're on trial for lack of respect, wrong attitude, and failure to respect authority, and they were already given 3 lectures. And he said, it's obvious. Put them to the farm. And he goes, what happened?
Send them to the farm.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do you mean the fucking farm? And he goes, what happened with the last group we sent to the farm? And they like give a name, and they're like, they were killed by, or no, they were dealt with a accident with farming equipment, or was it cancer? No, it was the farming equipment. And he looks at this old couple, he goes, okay, well, make this one heart attacks. Like, he's just picking how these people are gonna fucking die.
Die on paper.
Like, I don't even know if it's even that. If it's like, I took it as you're put in a room and like The Giver. Remember The Giver? Where like, they were euthanizing babies? Like, spoiler alert if you're in the fucking 8th grade, sorry. Like, I thought it was that. Like, I thought it was like they're putting them in a room and they're giving them some sort of an inoculation or some sort of a scenario where it happens, because everything else was so literal.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought, like, oh, you're put in a room, you have a heart attack, and then you're dead. And they're like, and that's it. They're sentenced. It's over.
Like, that's it? No, I mean, I think the way that that Vic gets sent to, or he gets like sentenced to the farm, and the other people that he's with that are like trying to go against the committee, and when you figure out that the farm is just the Tattletale Strangler. yeah.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
he might that character, before you give it away, that character might be my favorite character.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think of his name's Michael. I didn't even think of Michael being the one who does it, but I genuinely just thought of it as like, I just thought like very literally, you got a shot, you're dead. Like, I didn't think of it as like, oh, Michael kills you. But before Vic even shows up in the council, they have the dog that he talks to, and he can't speak to Vic or anybody on the council, and they're like, what's wrong? What did he say to you, boy? You can tell us. And then when they can't get answers at him, they go, send him to the farm immediately, and he just walks off with Michael.
I
know! Just kill a dog.
I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
And then when they have Vic there, there's a scene where Lou, I can't think of his fucking last name, not Caddick, but the guy in charge kind of like walks off and he's like, we brought you here for something very, very important. And he's like, yeah, and Quilla June fucking lured me down here. She's a fucking scumbag. And he's like, watch your mouth. And if you watch him in like the background,
it was Lou Craddock?
Craddock, yes.
Yeah.
He's doing this, and if you're watching, you can see he's doing this like chin, hand under the chin thing, which always, to me in Italian, was like, go fuck yourself. And then he starts like grabbing his nuts. And that's a very fucking, I was like, wow, this is like, for the time, insane that they're posting this.
Yeah.
Or that they're using this. And then he's like, but we need you because we're running out of our men can no longer breed with our women. We need someone new. Which, again, fucking genius idea.
Yeah.
Here's these people, even after 20 years, and that's like a thing that was said with the Fallout games, is like, yeah, they can fit thousands of people down there, but how long before incest becomes a thing? And I believe that's brought up in the lore of Fallout 3.
The gene pool gets stagnant, yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, do I have it here? No, I don't. He goes, you want me to knock up your broads? He goes, line them up. And then it like cuts to this express wedding thing.
Yeah.
And he's like hooked up to a semen collector.
Yeah, they're just draining him dry.
Him dry. Yeah.
They're milking him.
Like, and like this express wedding of like everything about the state of Topeka, and you're married. Here's your little vial of semen, and be on your way.
Yep.
And
go grab a turkey baster or something.
What's that?
Go grab a little turkey baster thing.
Yeah. But like, also, this takes place July 4th of 103 in the Down Under. So he's been there since June 23rd.
Yeah.
So
he's been there for like a
2 weeks.
More, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
so then, like, you see these people getting married off, and then Quilla June shows up, and she's got flowers, and she's like, all right, I'm here now, and she's ready to get married, and she beats these two dudes over the head with like a crowbar and sets him free, and she's like, I'm so sorry, this and that, and he's like, shut up, where's my guns?
No, it wasn't a crowbar, it was a bouquet of flowers, and they just both fucking dropped.
No, there's metal hidden in it.
Oh, is there? I was so fucking confused.
Yeah, because he grabs the metal from her, gets some supplies from it, and then runs out. And I love that scene where they're in the hallway and he's just beating the shit out of people, and he's like, get the fuck out of the way, and like he gets away from Michael and he's beating everybody, and Michael's this like 6'5", 355 pound just behemoth of a human in overalls and a flannel shirt.
He is massive,
and he's always smiling. And he like washes Vic when he gets down there, and like there's a scene where Vic's like, I need to get back into the dirt to feel clean.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, but he's running through there, and he gets his guns back, and Quilla June's friends like help her, and then they set up like this mock trial thing in the middle of a field.
And they all get sentenced to the farm.
Yeah, and she's like, all the friends got, and even the one kid gets sentenced to the farm, and he goes, what a shame. This is the first time the kid ever did anything. And then he's like, Quilla June, you're out. And then you see Michael fucking strangling these people.
This is the kind of cancel culture we need.
he's choking these people out, and then like breaking their necks. And then as soon as the marching band comes by and they're playing the post-Washington March anthem or whatever it's called, they just run along. They just go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then Michael's like chasing after him like Frankenstein's monster, and he just starts taking shots, and he's just fucking eating these shots. Like,
yeah.
And he's taking it. I'm going, what the fuck is even going on? And then he
and then like
shoots
an
him.
arm panel flies off.
Yeah, and then like he shoots him again. He falls over and explodes. And what's his name? Craddock? Craddock goes, let's get another Michael out of storage. But let's see if we can do something about that smile. And like before that, there's these announcements. When he first gets to the Down Under, there's announcements. The post-Washington March band.
The announcements that go off for like the entire time they're in the underground.
Yeah, like they were giving a recipe on how to cook bacon and make a sauce.
I know, and just like it's playing over what's going on, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting.
With the fucking
like they made that
barbershop
choice.
quartet. That's another thing that I have written down that I don't think I brought up. There was so much overlapping dialogue in this, and it's never like that's like not a thing that you ever see in movies. Ever.
Yeah, that's something you never see.
Of this muddy mixture of just, and it even happens early on. Like there's people yelling.
Oh yeah,
and I like how it's like not mixed the best, and I like how the soundtrack is there. And the only time
it's an old movie.
No, I know, but I'm not like.
Yeah.
I like how the only time they ever use music is when Vic is leaving blood, and it's like, I didn't like that because it was kind of like, hey, remember, feel bad, dog in a movie, but they kill this Michael robot and they run out, and he gets outside, and there's another shot right there where he lays on his stomach with the rifle pointed at the door, and there's just a static shot of the door. And the way the lighting of it is awesome.
It is. It's really fucking cool.
And he's trying to call out for Blood, and he's like, he went over the hill. And Blood believes in this idea of going over the hill, and he's like, I get it. They grow food right out of the ground. He's like, yeah, idiot. It's called fucking farming. Like, Blood knows all of this information about what the world was before, and he truly, truly loves Vic, and he's trying to explain to Vic, like, this is what... Like, you need to know these things. Like, he taught him how to read, presumably.
Yeah.
Because he knew how to read peaches and
he was, like, teaching him, like, history and everything.
He knew about the 3 terms of Kennedy. Like, so he's like, we got to get over the hill. He goes, that's where Vic would have left. He goes, I was down there too long. And I'm sorry, that's where Blood would be. I was down there too long. And he's calling out, and all of a sudden, you can hear a faint, Vic? And he goes, Blood? And he runs around the back. And he's like... He's all bloody. He goes, when was the last time you ate, Blood? And he goes, I think I had a gecko or a lizard or something a day ago. Maybe 2 days ago? He's like, I don't remember. And then she's like, we have to leave him. And he's like, we can't leave him. And he's like, but we have to. He's too weak. And then he's like, oh, and this part I love too. He's like, we got to get you in town so we can get you some medicine. And he goes, Fellini took over the whole town. He goes, everything in this area...
the entirety of the town got taken over.
So the turf is now under the reign of Fellini. This what's the word I'm looking for? This flamboyant fucking raider with like a cheap tri-corner hat. And he's like, well, we got to get over the hill then. He's like, I'm just so hungry. And she's like, we need to go and be safe. And then the screen goes black, and... Vic and Blood talk about eating something, and then they kind of walk off into the distance. And do you know
like that's just it.
Do you know what the last line of the movie is?
I remember it being impactful, but I don't remember what it is. But I have how I think the movie ended.
Okay, what do you think happened?
I think they ate her.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did.
Yeah, they definitely ate her.
No, that is exactly it, because I didn't get that the first time, and I was watching the commentary, not the commentary, but the discussion, and I thought it was, when I heard him say it, I thought it was that in the underground, or the down under, they were cannibals, and I thought that's what the farm meant. I thought the farm had a double meaning. Like, oh, we had to send the dog to a farm upstate, and we had to send them to a farm because they were cutting them up and eating them. So that's what I thought it was at first, that the underground was cannibalistic. Then when I watched it again, he goes, you know, Blood, she said she loved me. And he goes, yeah, but I can't say that she had very good choice in men, and at the very least, or no, let me find it. Hold on. He goes, you know, she said she loved me, and Blood goes, well, I'd say she had marvelous judgment, Albert, but not particularly good taste. And Ellison hated that line.
Really?
The original last line of the book is something like, she said she loved me, like along those lines. And he goes, well, do you know what love is? And he goes, yeah, I do. He goes, a boy loves his dog. And that's how the book ends.
Aww.
And he liked
That's
that
so
better.
cute.
He thought it was barbaric. He thought it would, like, he goes, I love the movie. I love it as it is. He goes, though, I can't stand that last line. And he fought with him and fought with him and fought with him. And he said L.Q. Jones just said, he goes, I didn't know how else to end it. I didn't know how else to get the point across that they ate them.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it the first time I watched it, but this is
I did. Immediately, I was like, oh, they ate that bitch.
Yeah, and that's another thing that would absolutely be happening. People would be eating people.
People are food.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Originally, Ellison told Jones, you are not allowed to change one period, not one comma of the way I wrote this book. And a lot of the dialogue in the book apparently is in the movie, from what I understand.
That's awesome. I love when they are true to the source material like that.
Yeah.
I know that really tickles your fancy.
Yes, I'm a big fan of source material. I love this movie. This might be my favorite Apocalypse movie.
I thought it was an excellent...
I watched this and I was just like, yeah, no, this is doing everything. Like, and I could sit here and make all of the... I could make all the comparisons to every Fallout game and where this is and that is and how I saw this and that. And I don't feel like I need to be completely honest with you.
No,
I think
it speaks for itself. It really does.
this is a movie that makes me want to read a book.
You know what? You should get the book and read it.
I am. I'm actually going to meet up with a friend on Wednesday, and there's a used bookstore not far. And I'm going in there and I'm saying, if you have... Because it's a novella, so it's like short stories. So I don't know if it's like... Because there was a I'm going to do some trivia in a minute, but there was a sequel to this called Egg Sucker that didn't really work out, and I don't know what it was going to be about, because I think Vic keeps using that as an insult, like, you suck eggs, which is a very 70s thing to say.
Yeah.
But also there was a movie planned called A Girl and Her Dog, or A Girl and His Dog, maybe, to play on, like, Vic, and he might have had a daughter and, like, a dog. I don't know. And it didn't happen because the dog who played Blood died shortly after the movie finally came out. So, remember when I said during the I Am Legend review, oh, it's sad that the dog dies? Well, he's dead in real life. This movie came out in 1975. This dog has been dead for 40-plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think I like this more than Book of Eli, because I like how slow Book of Eli is, but I also like how fast this is.
Yeah, I like that, like, this kid just, like, gets into trouble and just the ball keeps rolling. The Book of Eli is like a march where you get a little bit at a time, and it's a really nice pace. But this one, it's an accelerating pace, and it just keeps getting crazier, and I think that they're both really good movies. I really liked this movie, though.
Yeah, me too.
Even though that like it shows you kind of the like terrible parts of humanity, it really does a good job at showing what I think is an honest apocalypse.
Yeah, absolutely. It says on the Blu-ray, it says a doomsday fable that launched the post-apocalyptic genre as we know it. Like, it's just, I'm gonna get into some trivia. It's a phenomenal film, and it's a film that I think there's a story that they tell during the conversation that it came out and it didn't do great, and it kind of became this slow rolling cult hit over time. And they would always play it as a double feature, so they would play like at drive-ins, and I could have saw this at the drive-in, and I never did.
You should have.
I fucking know. I have shit friends. And the guy said, Ellison said that when they showed the movie, it was Gone with the Wind and then A Boy and His Dog. And the way that lineup looks is like two Disney films. Like A Boy and His Dog, like it sounds like a kid's movie.
Gone with the Wind?
This grandma took her grandson to see the movie A Boy and His Dog. And she wrote him a letter like, this is fucking disgusting. How could you do this? And he's like, it's an R-rated film.
Yeah.
And I love that the director...
Don't fucking see it.
Yeah, and the director always calls it a picture. Like, it's so fucking, like, old Hollywood. Like, we're gonna go see a picture.
It's an R-rated picture, see?
At a science fiction convention, there was a pre-release screening of the films. At the end, when the writer, Harlan Ellison, came on stage and invited comments, most of the common ones... was that the point of the movie taking place in the underground was really slow moving, a polite way of saying boring. Ellison was very defensive about it and responded to the effect that the underground was boring. Was a boring, stultifying place, and the movie was intended to convey that. The audience did not find that to be a satisfying answer. According to Cult Movies 2, a sequel was planned called A Girl and His Dog, but the dog died shortly after, which I think would be an interesting take to see, like, maybe the dog, because he has the ability to talk, like he says in there, he goes, don't give me that shit about you not being able to hunt because you lost the ability to, when you gain the ability to talk. So maybe he has a longer life because of that ability.
Yeah. I would love to know more about the character of Blood.
Yeah. The keyboardist from The Doors was a musician on this movie.
Wow, really?
And here's a great one, yeah. One of many post-apocalyptic movies to heavily influence the critically acclaimed video game series Fallout, which began with Fallout, a post-nuclear role-playing game in 1997. A recurring event throughout the series is to have a canine companion... How did we forget about this? A canine companion named Dogmeat, which is what Vic called Blood as an insult. Also, underground civilizations are to an extent within the Fallout... Also, underground civilizations are existent within the Fallout series as they are in the film in a form of what they call vaults. Vaults have since become a prime selling point in the Fallout series. This one, they talk about this on the DVD, on the Blu-ray. After about 600 auditions, Tim McIntyre, who is also the film's composer, landed the voice of Blood. And at the end, when they do the Boy and His Dog song, that's him as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. James Cagney was considered to be the voice of Blood, but the idea was dropped because Cagney's fame would have taken away from the character.
Huh.
Yeah. The wasteland that Blood and Vic inhabit is supposed to be the devastated ruins of Phoenix, Arizona. This might be a sly rumor.
That was mentioned.
Was it?
I remember that.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember it being on like one of the like radio broadcasts in the beginning.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Well, this might be kind of a sly bit of humor at the survivor have risen from the ashes like the Phoenix.
That's fun.
When Vic first spots Quilla June at the makeshift movie theater, wedding music is heard playing from the film projector. I noticed that, but I thought I was hearing it wrong.
Really? I never even noticed.
I did notice that, and I was like, huh. Wow. This film is the inspiration behind George Miller's Australian dystopian action film franchise Mad Max. Without this, we don't have Mad Max. And that's arguably...
We also probably don't have Fallout.
Exactly. And Mad Max was a huge inspirational piece for Fallout. Wow.
Yeah.
The trailer was done.
It really just started an entire genre.
No, it really did. Like, and apocalyptic fiction is my favorite. I love the idea of everything sucks, but like the world that we live in now sucks. But does it suck compared to this, where rape is currency? You know what I mean?
At least rape isn't currency in our world.
Yeah. The trailer, which I do it for the movie reviews. I'll put the trailer when we first start talking about it. I'll put the trailer up, so you probably have already seen the trailer without sound if you're watching. And then there will be a poster or some characters or some art or something I can find when we reviewed them, which I think comes out before this one. It was the trailer and then a movie poster. This I'm not quite sure. I'm not editing yet, so I don't know. But the trailer was done in the exact same style as the trailer for Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, which I don't know if that's kind of a dystopian movie. We could review it. I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed to that either, actually.
Have you seen Clockwork Orange?
I don't really remember it. I'm not sure if I've seen it. I know, like, the story of it.
Ultra violence, yeah.
I know, like, the story of it, but, like, I can't recall, like, sitting down and enjoying, like, a movie, you know?
Really?
Like, the experience of, like, watching. I think it's just because it's like so famous and like it's a pop culture, like it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
That it's like in my knowledge base, but I don't think I've.
You know a billion references to it without even knowing that they're references to it.
Probably, yeah.
And that's something that I wanted to bring up that I really, really like about this is the same way that like what I like about hip hop is that I'm watching these older movies and I'm seeing these references to things that I enjoy now. And it's like when you listen to like some old soul records and like all of a sudden you hear like some drums or a groove and it's like, oh, that's in that Wu-Tang song, or that's in that A Tribe Called Quest song, or like, oh, this was the bass line for that Biggie song.
You can hear like samples and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this is you'll see certain things or you'll hear a line about something and you'll be like, oh, that's where Fallout got this from. Like, that's what that reference is about. Like, that's what this is. And that's how I felt
about this, like, entire movie.
That's what I love about this movie. I love this fucking... See, my thing is, if I wasn't a fan of the Fallout series, would I be a fan of this movie?
It's a good question. I mean, I feel like you like Apocalypse at Large.
Yes. I like depressing shit.
Mm-hmm. I think Apocalypse at Large would be a great name for this podcast if it weren't Atomic Radio Hour.
The Apocalypse at Large?
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse is a very hard word to spell. But yes, I do agree with you.
Apocalypse at Large.
Maybe we should start a second show. Whatever. This I don't know if this is found anywhere, but this is on the IMDb, and this is the level of detail that I enjoy. Vic is a Caucasian male who was born in 2006. His hair color is dirty blonde. His eyes are blue-green. His height is 5'10". His shoe size is 10.
Why do we need to know all that?
Because when you're writing a character, you gotta flesh it all out.
I don't usually get deep enough to know their shoe size.
I don't know. I love this movie. What would you rate this movie, my friend?
I don't know. I did really like it. I want to say like an 8 out of 10 solos.
I was gonna give it 8.8 Michaels out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
8.8 sperm containers out of 10.
1 out of 1 dead dog.
Also, I forgot to mention this before, they were marrying them. They were going to give them 35 different sperm vials and then kill Vic.
Yeah.
So, like, do your job and get out. I think that's everything I want to say about this movie. I fucking love this movie. Go watch it.
I liked this movie a lot.
I'm leaving it with the front. Oh, that's the one thing I had to say. I can't get out of this without saying this. My great-grandmother loved Don Johnson so much. He was on Miami Vice, right? And that's kind of where people know Don Johnson from. And she loved that show so much that when I bought this movie, I was on the phone with my mom about it, and I was like, I bought a bunch of movies. She's like, oh, what'd you get? I go, this movie and that movie and this movie. I go, it's got Don Johnson. She goes, your great-grandmother loved him so much, and I think she might have met him.
Wow.
And she might have met him because she was friends with somebody, and if you've ever seen Miami Vice, the whole thing was the white Ferrari. the 1980 something Ferrari, and it was brand new. It was white, and she had a friend that owned a Ferrari, a white Ferrari, and they rented it from her for the show.
Really?
So I think my grandma might have met Don Johnson, but and the only thing I know Don Johnson from, other than Miami Vice, which I don't really know, is in Django, when they go to the first plantation, he plays Big Daddy. It's Big Daddy's plantation. And the only thing I know is the slave woman taking Django for a walk. And before that, he goes, how come that I'm not going to say what he says because it's a racial slur. He goes, how come that man, he wouldn't even call him a man. He goes, how come that guy's on a horse? And he goes, oh, no. This is Django. He's my associate. And he's like, he's your property? And he goes, no, we work together. He goes, I don't know if I like him being on that horse. And he convinces him that, like, treat Django with respect. And there's a point where he goes, and this is Dr. King Schultz's, his associate, Django. He goes, and you're to treat him with respect. And the guy goes, you want me to treat him like white folk? Goes, I didn't say that. Django's a fucking great movie. Go see Django if you haven't seen Django.
I haven't seen Django.
I will find an excuse to review Django on this show because I fucking love that movie. And then there's the scene with the KKK and Don Johnson, which is an amazing. If you've never seen this movie, none of this makes sense to you, and I apologize. But that's all I know Don Johnson from. And then I know him from this now. And I love this movie. This movie's great. Bop-a-da-bop, skip-a-da-boop, pop-a-da-cream. We've been recording for a very long time. The intro music is not done by Shane Ivers, but you should give Shane Ivers a look-see just because we're a big fan of Mr. Silverman and his sounds. But Olive, can't they follow us on social media?
Yes, they can. They can find us on Twitter. You can find us at Atomic Radio Hour, or you can find Vince and I on our personal pages. Those are linked in the description below. Other than that, you can find us on Redbubble. You can get some stuff. You can get like a hoodie or like a shirt or like a shower curtain or a clock. Maybe a travel mug with like not our faces, but our logos and stuff on them.
Yes. And we'd also really appreciate if you could join our Discord for one. It's a fucking time and a half. But if you really, really like the show, outside of Redbubble, where you can buy a t-shirt and some merch, you can also check out our Patreon. There's some people that we have to thank. And if you're going to hear your name now and you're not a part of it anymore, or if you should hear your name, we apologize. You're still very much loved and appreciated. It's just we film these so far ahead in the future that so much can change, and it might change. But there are some people that we do have to thank right now. Olive?
We need to start with the OG Noah.
Noah, thank you, my good man.
Thank you for being here, Noah. Next up is Gage, but twice.
Thank you, Gage. Gage, he gives us a couple bucks on Patreon, and he also supplies our Discord with Nitro so we can stream, which is another reason that you should jump in.
Next up is Jordan with a Y.
Jordan with a Y, thank you.
We also have Danny.
Danny, thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. That's another one for the books. This is a great movie.
It is a great movie. Guys, go watch it.
I always say call your grandma. Just bye. See ya. Bye.
See ya.
Atomic Radio Hour Podcast.